The mirrored tower of Crane Enterprises shimmers as the sun dips low, casting long streaks of rose across the glass. A black limousine eases to a stop at the curb and the rear door swings open. In one smooth motion, Lila Monroe steps out, her once pristine gown ripped at the hem, mascara tracking dark lines down her cheeks. Each breath she takes feels heavy, as if the humid air itself resists her movement. Beside her, 8-year-old Ellie Tate tugs at Marcus's oil-stained sleeve. "She's so sad, Daddy," the girl whispers, her eyes wide under the garage light glowed at Lila's heel catches on the pavement. She falters, grasping at the limo's doorframe. The soft hiss of tires settling and the distant throb of an elevator motor fill the space between them. Marcus steps forward, his worn boots crunching on loose gravel. He doesn't speak. He simply holds out his phone, its screen alive with a map back to shelter and safety. Her fingers close around the device, knuckles white. In that silent exchange, kindness passes like a quiet promise. Wait, have you ever been abandoned when you needed help most? Drop a comment, like, and share if you felt that moment of unexpected rescue. Marcus steps off the sidewalk and into the pool of lamplight. His voice is calm, measured. "Here, use my phone if you need to call someone. My truck's idling just ahead. I can give you a lift." Lila's eyes dart between the gleaming glass of the HQ entrance and Marcus's gentle offer. The humid air presses against her skin like a damp sheet. A distant elevator hum vibrates through the pavement. Her breath catches. Why would you do that?" He offers a half smile, oil stains on his denim jacket faintly iridescent in the streetlight. "Because everyone deserves help when they're out of options." For a heartbeat, she stands still, heels sinking into the hot asphalt. Then she nods, stepping forward. Ellie moves beside Marcus, tugging Lila's hand toward the waiting truck. The limo door clicks shut behind them, sealing off the world they've left. Inside the cab, the air conditioning kicks on with a soft whoosh, cutting through the night's heaviness. Ellie wriggles into the passenger's seat, her butterfly clip catching the glow of the dashboard lights. "Who hurt her, Daddy?" she asks before the engine even turns. Marcus adjusts the rearview mirror, catching Lila's reflection, her eyes rimmed red, lips pressed thin. He glances at Ellie, then back to Lila. "She needs to tell us in her own time." Lila grips the phone still in her hand, thumb tracing the edge of the screen. The scent of motor oil and cold metal mixes with her bridal bouquet's faint sweetness, now pressed into a plastic cup holder. Ellie hums a question, persistent and gentle. Lila exhales, voice cracking. "Victor Crane, he's the CEO. He accused me of moving company money into my personal account. He had access to my emails and twisted the records against me." The truck idles at a light. A soft thrum from the engine underscores her words. Ellie's small face creases with confusion and worry. Why would he do that? Lila's hand flies to her chest, fingers brushing the pearl locket at her throat. "Power," she whispers, and to cover up his own mistakes. The light turns green. Marcus eases forward, the tires crunching on gravel. Lila's eyes lift, meeting his in the mirror. The kindness in his gaze is familiar, too familiar. Her breath catches. In that moment, she recognizes him. A fleeting memory of a photograph in her grandmother's album, a face she vowed never to forget. The road stretches ahead, the night deepening. Around them, Marcus flipped the garage's overhead light switch, and a single bulb buzzed to life, casting a yellow circle on the concrete floor. The faint scent of oil and rubber hung in the air. He leaned over the engine of a rusted sedan, tightening a bolt until his knuckles whitened. Outside, cicadas droned, their chorus a reminder that the world kept spinning even when his heart felt heavy. Inside the small adjoining living space, Ellie's homework lay spread on a folding table. Math problems marked in pencil, spelling. Words lined up neatly. A tuition notice peeked from beneath her worksheets, the figures in bold red type glaring up at Marcus. He'd borrowed from friends and maxed out a credit card to cover last term's fees. He knew this notice spelled yet another scramble for cash. His scar above the left brow itched, a familiar warning that stress was winning. Ellie skipped back and forth between the homework and the garage tools, humming a tune as she stacked notebooks. Marcus watched her, then turned back to the sedan's engine. His wife's laughter still echoed in these rafters sometimes, a voice he chased only to find emptiness. Since her accident, Every sunset brought fresh worries. Rent, groceries, school. Costs that a soft knock on the garage door broke his reverie. Marcus set down his wrench. The knock came again. A timid tap. He opened the door to find Lila Monroe, drenched by a sudden sprinkle of rain. Her torn gown clung to her knees, and she held a small suitcase in one hand. Her eyes were red, luminous in the dim light. "I don't have anywhere else to go," she said, voice tight. Rainwater dripped from the hem of her dress onto oil-stained concrete. Marcus stepped aside. "Come in. Dry off." He fetched a rag and offered it. She wiped her arms, shivering despite the heat. Inside, he pointed to a worn sofa beside a stack of mechanics' manuals. "Make yourself comfortable. I'll grab you something warm." Lila sank onto the couch, clutching her pearl locket. Marcus returned with a mug of black coffee, strong, bitter. He sat across from her, the engines idle far behind them. "Why are you here?" he asked. Her fingers traced the locket's edge. "Victor Crane. He accused me of siphoning company funds. I found out later he rerouted my emails through his private server. He claimed I was the culprit." She paused, then let out a shaky breath. "He froze my bank account, cut off my credit. My life, he shattered it." Marcus set his mug down, the ceramic clink startling in the silence. He studied Lila's face. How her cheeks were hollow, how exhaustion lay in the set of her jaw. "You have proof?" he asked quietly. Lila shook her head. "Everything he needs is on his server. Without access, I can't clear my name. They want me gone." Thunder rumbled as rain intensified outside. Ellie peeked around the corner, concern in her eyes. Marcus stood and motioned Lila to stay seated. He crossed to a locked filing cabinet and fished out a small recorder. "I'm no lawyer," he said, handing it to her. "But this will document your side. We'll get you in front of someone who cares." She took the recorder with trembling hands. For the first time since she arrived, her eyes showed a flicker of hope. Marcus knew the road ahead would be steep, but tonight, at least, she wasn't alone. The motel room smelled of stale perfume and damp carpet. A single lamp cast a pool of light over a queen-size bed, its comforter rumpled. Lila sat on the edge, the recorder balanced on her knee, while Marcus pored over a printout of sparse server logs. Ellie lay on the bed, hugging her bear, eyes drifting shut. Outside, a siren's distant wail faded into silence. Marcus tapped his phone screen. Nia Brooks. He hit send. The ringtone echoed once, twice. Then Nia's voice came through, sharp, determined. "Marcus, talk fast." He outlined Victor Crane's scheme. Basis for the fraud charge, the private server. Hack, the account freeze. As he spoke, Lila's shoulders straightened. Nia barked questions and Marcus answered, fingers flying over the phone. "Got it," Nia said. "Email me those logs. I'll contact my source in IT. If Crane misused company servers, that's a breach. We'll have a legal angle by dawn." Ellie stirred, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy," he offered a tired smile. "Go back to sleep. Pumpkin, everything's under control." Lila exhaled, watching Marcus and the call. The lamp buzzed overhead, spotlighting the trio in their makeshift refuge. For a moment, the motel room felt like the calm before a storm. Sunlight filtered through the dusty windows of Marcus's garage. As he loaded tools into the back of his pickup, Ellie sat on the tailgate, swinging her legs, humming a song she'd heard on the bus. Lila, wrapped in Marcus's jacket, leaned against the truck's side, staring at the rising sun. Marcus climbed in, turned the key, and nothing. The engine gave a single cough, then fell silent. He frowned and popped the hood. Ellie scrambled down, peering over his shoulder. "What's wrong, Daddy?" Before he could answer, a roar rumbled behind them. A bright yellow tow truck pulled in, its driver stepping out with a clipboard. "Morning," the driver called. "Owner's missed 3 payments on his parking spot. City's towing at 8 sharp." He hooked chains around the pickup's axle. Ellie gasped. "No, Daddy." Marcus slammed the hood shut. "Wait, those payments were due next week." The driver shrugged. "Rules are rules." He climbed back into the cab and started the lift mechanism. The chains rattled as the truck's bed rose to Ellie's shoulders shook. She buried her face in her hands. Lila reached for her, placing a comforting hand on her back. Marcus planted both feet on the ground, fists clenched. He glanced at Lila. "I'm sorry, this is my fault." Lila shook her head. "It's not your fault. They're looking for excuses to bury us. The tow truck chugged away, the pickup dangling behind it. Dust swirled where the truck's tires met the gravel. Marcus's lip trembled as he surveyed the empty spot. Ellie stepped forward, tears streaking her cheeks. "Daddy, what are we going to do?" He knelt, hands on her shoulders. "We fight back. We show them we won't be pushed aside." Lila squeezed his arm. "We'll expose Crane's web. Nia's on our side. She'll go live with the story." Marcus rose, resolve hardening in his eyes. He brushed dirt from his jacket and motioned toward the garage door. "Let's get our gear. We have a statement to release." Ellie climbed back onto the tailgate, wiping her tears. "I'm with you, Daddy." The roar of engines on the nearby street reminded them that the city was waking up. The chain-link fence rattled in a sudden gust of wind. In that moment, Marcus felt every bit the protector, worn boots firmly on the ground, heart set on justice. Not just for Lila, but for Ellie's future. Tell me if you'd stand up for someone you barely know. Drop a comment, like, and share if you would. With Ellie's small hand in his, Marcus led them into the garage, a fortress of tools and determination. Today, they would make their stand, the conference room's floor-to-ceiling windows framed. A glare of midday sun across the polished mahogany table. Lila Monroe stood at the head, her white gown replaced by a tailored blouse and skirt, her first professional outfit since the scandal. Her pearl locket lay hidden beneath her blouse, a quiet talisman against fear. Victor Crane lounged at the opposite end, fingers steepled as he studied her. Floor lights hummed overhead, and the faint click of the building's security cameras echoed in the silence. "Mr. Crane," Lila began, voice steady though her heart pounded, "I want full access to my company emails, those that pass through your private server. I need to clear my name." Victor's smile was thin. "Miss Monroe, you signed an NDA upon hire. Any request for those records falls under confidentiality. You're welcome to sign a secondary agreement on our terms." Lila's stomach tightened. Every breath tasted of linoleum polish and corporate arrogance. "You framed me for fraud. Your server logs are the only evidence that can undo it. Release them now, or concede your misconduct." A flicker crossed Victor's eyes. He waved toward the door. "Security." Lila's pulse raced. The room's hum amplified until it felt like a wave crashing against her eardrums. She squared her shoulders. "I won't sign anything until I see the proof." 10 minutes later, the silence shattered as two security officers in dark suits entered, their shoes clicking against marble. One carried a folder stamped "Confidential." The other glanced at Lila with a wary expression. Victor leaned back. 10 minutes, Lila. That's all the courtesy I extend." He held up a hand. "Now, before we continue, sign this NDA, or you'll leave with nothing but misplaced pride." Lila's throat burned. She looked at the sealed folder in the guard's hands, then at Victor's smug face. The overhead lights flickered, as if on cue, and her breath caught in her chest. A hush fell. The security officers advanced. Her hands trembled against the table's edge. Victor's voice cut through her panic. "Sign it." Her mind raced. Every scenario ended in her silence being stolen, her reputation crushed. She swallowed and met his gaze. "I refuse." Victor's lips curved. "Then you have no case here." He tapped the folder. "Security, escort Miss Monroe off the premises." Lila's heart thundered. The officers reached out. Her eyes darted to Marcus, leaning against the doorframe, jaw clenched, arms crossed. He did not move. The lead officer stepped forward, gloved hands ready. Lila drew in a shaky breath, her hands curling into fists. "Mr. Tate," Victor drawled, "perhaps your presence would be more productive elsewhere." Marcus pushed off the frame, voice low but clear. "She stays. You listen." Victor raised an eyebrow, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Ah, Mr. Tate, the mechanic. You think you can barge into my boardroom?" Lila's pulse hammered. Security paused, unsure. A bead of sweat slid down her temple. The room's hum became a drumbeat of confrontation. The guards froze, the table between them all suddenly charged. Marcus's boots tapped softly against the marble floor as he advanced. The tension coiled around them like static. Victor's smile widened. "This will be entertaining." He reached for a thick manila folder at his side. "These are the only records you'll ever see." He flipped it open and withdrew several sheets of paper, server logs, email headers, transaction records stamped "Invalid." Lila lunged forward. Those are forgeries. She grabbed a sheet. Victor stood, moving with deliberate slowness, and ripped the folder from her grasp. His fingers curled around the paper stack to in one fluid motion. He shredded the pages. The crisp tearing sounded like glass breaking, each strip fluttering to the floor in a gray rain. The shredded paper settled at Lila's feet, swirling in tiny eddies as Victor's security stepped back. Marcus slammed his hand onto the table. The echo jolted the room. You destroyed evidence. Victor turned, folding his arms. Evidence of what? Your incompetence. He sneered at Marcus's oil-stained jacket. Is that what you call professional attire? A flush of rage rose in Marcus's cheeks. He's not incompetent, he's been framed. Victor's gaze flicked to Lila. Framed by a naive assistant who can't follow protocol. He leaned in, voice low. In my world, Ms. Monroe, a mistake like this is fatal to a career. The sunlight caught shards of wood on the table, glinting them like warning beacons. Lila backed against the wall, eyes fixed on the scattered ribbons of log files. Her breath came in quick bursts. The guards shifted, tension thick as they weighed conflicting orders. Marcus pointed at Victor. You'll pay for that. Victor chuckled, the sound cold and high-pitched. He strode around the table, boots clicking. I've already paid you. Promise to pay out when you sign that waiver. You know the deal. Lila's eyes widened. There was no deal. You lied. Victor paused at her side, slides his finger along her tie. Everything you think you know is a lie. He dropped his hand. His gaze locked on the pearl locket at her throat, its surface glinting like a trapped memory. Lila's fingers flew to cover it. Marcus pivoted, ready to shield her, but Victor held up a hand. By all means, defend your treasure. He snapped his fingers, and security moved a step forward. Lila inhaled sharply. Her knuckles white. She stared at the scattered shreds around her feet. Is that all you've got? Victor taunted. He lifted his chin, a monarch surveying his realm. Suddenly, the locket slipped from Lila's grasp. It fell through the space. Between them, clattering on the polished floor. The single pearl rolled once, then stopped. A hush fell over the room. Even the air seemed to pause. The locket lay on the ground, its chain coiled like a question mark. Outside, through the glass, the city's noise dimmed, every eye now on that tiny emblem of Lila's past and Victor's cruelty. The overhead fluorescent panel buzzed as Nia Brooks leaned back in her swivel chair, eyes glued to her laptop screen. Stacks of legal pads and half-empty coffee cups formed a fortress around her desk. A single desk lamp outlined the recorder. Marcus had handed her, its red light blinking. Nia's fingers danced across the keyboard, uploading the file to a secure server. Lines of code scrolled by like a countdown. Outside, rain tapped against the window, each drop punctuating the moment. Finally, she exhaled. This ends him, she muttered, voice firm. She clicked send to media and watched the progress bar reach completion. Within seconds, the secret recording, Victor's own voice admitting he manipulated Lila's emails, was en route to multiple news outlets and legal teams. Her phone buzzed. Marcus's name flashed. Nia answered on speaker. Done. They'll run it at midnight. I also alerted my legal contact for an injunction. Marcus's relieved sigh came through the line. Ellie's asleep. Lila's holding together. Thank you. Nia tapped her pen on the desk. Tomorrow at 8, I want every worker Victor shut out to be here for a statement. Public support will pressure the board. She ended the call and gazed at the recorder. The device that had been a lifeline now carried the evidence. The office felt suddenly alive, no longer a quiet bunker but a launchpad for justice. Nia pulled a notepad closer and jotted. Midnight release legal injunction 8 a.m. Press the rain eased, leaving the streets slick and reflective. Nia gathered her papers, clipped the recorder to her bag, and flicked off the desk lamp. Tonight, she'd sleep knowing tomorrow, power would shift by dawn. Crane Enterprises Plaza flooded with voices. A banner reading, Crane Workers Demand Truth, stretched between two makeshift podiums. Marcus stood at the center, Ellie at his side, clutching the pearl locket she'd rescued. Around them, 24 former employees, receptionists, accountants, maintenance staff, lined up, faces determined. The humid air felt electric. A portable speaker crackled. Nia's voice urged reporters to gather. The chant rose. Show us the truth. No more deceit. Justice for Lila, no retreat. Cell phones raised on all sides recorded the scene. Hashtags #expose Crane and #truth for Lila trended within minutes, trending panels looping in onlookers' screens. Lila stepped forward, dressed in a crisp jacket and jeans, the locket tucked safely inside. She cleared her throat. Yesterday, I was silenced by a man who thought I couldn't fight back. Today, I speak for everyone he's wronged. Her voice rang clear, carrying over the plaza's marble tiles. Reporters clicked cameras, the crowds. Chants softened to a supportive hum. Lila raised a folder of printed emails. Here is proof of his deception. She held them high, the sun glinting off the paper edges. Marcus watched her, pride and relief in his eyes. Ellie waved at the cameras, offering a shy smile. A news van rolled up, logo flashing. Nia hopped out, recorder and legal pads in hand. She handed Marcus a sheaf of documents. Board meetings called. Noon. Emergency. She scanned the crowd. They can't ignore this. Builders in hard hats stepped forward, recounting their own cancellations by Crane Enterprises. An accountant, her tie askew, held a broken office key. A receptionist brandished business cards stamped replaced. Their stories wove a tapestry of small injustices, ignored overtime, erased email threads, lost pay. The chants grew in volume, swelling like a wave. Justice now. Answer the call. Marcus lifted a hand. Thank you for standing with us. We will see them in that boardroom. We will demand accountability, and we will win. Ellie squeezed his hand. Marcus glanced down, caught her gaze, and offered a nod so subtle only she noticed. They were in this together as midday approached. TV crews backed away, amps and microphones in tow. The crowd dispersed toward the entrance, guided by polite but firm security. Phones still recorded every step. Above them, the mirrored windows of Crane HQ reflected the protesters. Once silent underlings now united and poised to reclaim power. The boardroom felt smaller now, its polished table dwarfed by the gravity in the room. Victor Crane arrived first, suit crisp, brows furrowed. He greeted each executive with a nod that carried no warmth. The other board members, finance director, HR head, two outside consultants, looked uneasy as they took their seats. Lila entered. Second, flanked by Nia and Marcus. She placed a thick binder of duplicated emails on the table with a firm slap. The hinge creaked as each board member glanced at the contents. Victor's face paled beneath his composed mask. Lila addressed them. These are exact copies of every email he falsified. Timestamps, server paths, digital signatures, they match mine. He erased my name from threads that prove his misconduct. Silence fell. The finance director opened the binder, scanning pages. His eyes widened. HR head turned pale. The consultants exchanged looks. One consultant cleared his throat. Ms. Monroe, these records are compelling. We'll need legal verification, but, Nia interrupted, voice steady. I've filed for an injunction. Midnight release of my expose. The public record will expose every detail. She slid a printed copy of media notices toward them. Victor leaned forward, voice low. This changes things. The CEO's once unyielding allies shifted in their chairs. The HR head covered her mouth. The finance director placed the binder aside and looked at Victor. We need to consider liability. Across the table, Marcus settled into a chair, protective but calm. He allowed a single thought to surface. The board no longer belonged to Victor alone. As the board members debated reparations and public statements, Marcus recalled Ellie's faith in him that morning, her small voice asking, "What will we do next, Daddy?" He closed his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of her trust. Marcus said, I fight for her future, in every wrench I tighten, every promise I keep. I fight so she never doubts that kindness and courage can build something stronger than fear. The camera panned to Lila's determined face, then to Victor's as he stared at the binder. Realization and defeat in equal measure. A murmur rose, consensus forming. The board secretary began drafting the statement. Victor's name was omitted from key roles. Financial restitution for Lila and the workers was approved. The final gavel fell, an echo of victory. Lila exhaled, shoulders relaxing for the first time in days. Marcus reached for Ellie's hand beneath the table. She squeezed back. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the shift that had taken place within these walls. For Marcus, for Lila, and for Ellie, nothing would ever be the same. Bright morning sunlight filtered through colorful pennant flags strung across the entryway of Tate and Company. Community garage. A fresh coat of teal paint gleamed on the corrugated metal doors. Marcus Tate stood at the center of the ribbon, a length of satin, crisp and red. Ellie, wearing a brand new denim jacket over her school uniform, gripped one end of the scissors beside him. Local neighbors gathered. Families who once struggled with broken-down cars, teens learning engine repair on weekends, and volunteer mechanics offering their spare time. A banner overhead read, "Everyone deserves a second chance." Marcus cleared his throat. Today, we open more than just a garage. We open a place where help is free, knowledge is shared, and no one is left stranded. Ellie beamed up at him, her confidence as bright as the morning that he raised the scissors. "Ellie, ready?" She nodded, heart pounding with pride. Together, they snipped the ribbon. Applause rippled through the crowd like a wave. Marcus guided his daughter forward. "Come on, Pumpkin, let's show them around." Inside, rows of tool benches gleamed beneath overhead lamps. Posters on the walls displayed step-by-step guides and simple drawings. A chalkboard listed free workshops: change your oil, brake basics, engine essentials. Volunteers led small groups through demonstrations, offering hands-on help that a neighbor rolled her car in, a dented hatchback with a sputtering engine. Ellie opened the hood alongside a volunteer, matching wrenches and pointing to the fuel filter. A few feet away, Marcus helped a former crane employee replace a brake pad while praising her steady hands that a local TV crew filmed the scene. Ellie looked into the camera and waved. Her joy was infectious. Marcus caught her eye and nodded. It was exactly what he'd hoped for when he offered Lila that first ride. A community thriving because one man refused to look away. In a bright corner office overlooking a bustling street, Lila Monroe sat behind a sleek glass desk. Her pearl locket, polished and gleaming, rested against a stack of client files. A small nameplate read, "Lila Monroe, Certified Fraud Consultant," across. From her, a young cafe owner, Carlos, fidgeted with his cap. "I never thought I'd need advice on digital security," he admitted. "But after a hacker tried to hold my online orders for ransom, I realized I was vulnerable." Lila offered a reassuring smile. "You're not alone. Small businesses face sophisticated threats every day. Let's walk through your email setup and payment gateways." She opened her laptop, clicking through diagrams of two-factor authentication and encrypted backups. The late morning sun shone through Venetian blinds, casting stripes of light across the office carpet. The faint hum of traffic rose below, a reminder that life moved on outside these walls. Carlos leaned in as Lila explained how to detect phishing attempts and set up secure file transfers. She tapped her pen to emphasize each step. Always verify unusual requests by phone, never click unexpected links, and keep your software up to date. Prevention is key. He nodded, jotting notes. "What about recouping stolen funds if it happens?" Lila tapped on her locket, a quiet gesture of resilience. Documentation. Every email, every transaction matters. If you have a clear record, you stand a chance to recover damages and hold perpetrators accountable. Carlos smiled, relief washing over him. "Thank you, Lila. You've given me confidence, more than just a how-to guide. You gave me hope." Lila leaned back, meeting his gaze. "That's why I do this. Knowledge is the best defense." She watched him leave, his stride lighter than when he arrived. The office phone rang. It was Nia, but Lila let it go to voicemail. Today, she was exactly where she belonged, helping others rebuild in the wake of injustice. Under bright studio lights, Nia Brooks stood at a podium in the company's atrium, surrounded by colleagues and flashbulbs. A polished glass award sat. In her hand, engraved, "Investigative Journalism Excellence." Cameras clicked as executives and reporters congratulated her. She cleared her throat. "This award isn't mine alone. It belongs to everyone who believed in the truth. Lila Monroe for her courage, Marcus Tate for his unwavering support, and the community that refused to stay silent." Reporters jostled for photos as she continued. It started with a simple recording, but that recording sparked a movement that exposed wrongdoing at the highest level. "I'm honored to stand here, knowing we made a difference." Ellie and Lila appeared in the back row, cheering. Marcus stood beside them, pride in his posture. Nia's words echoed through the hall. She held up the award. May we never underestimate the power of speaking up and the ripple effect one voice can create. The audience erupted in applause. Nia stepped down, embracing colleagues. Behind her, a ticker displayed headlines. Crane Enterprises Board Overhaul. Community Garage empowers locals. Small businesses strengthen security. For Nia, the ceremony marked a milestone. For Lila and Marcus, it was proof that truth and kindness changed lives. Lila said, I was broken, left in the dust of his lies. But one stranger's kindness showed me I could fight back. That single act transformed my fear into strength and gave me a purpose beyond my own survival. Marcus said, helping her wasn't just about fixing a moment. It was about building a future for my daughter, showing Ellie that even in the darkest hour, standing up for what's right lights the way forward. Like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment below. We appreciate your ideas about how one small act can change a life.